Hello and welcome to PBCJ Presents, our weekly current affairs discussion series. It is here that we take a deep dive into matters affecting Jamaica land we love. I am Maya Chung. On PBCJ Presents this week, we are joined by President of the Inter-Secondary School Sports Association, ISSA, Keith Wellington. Our topic is this year's Boys and Girls Champs. According to Mr. Wellington, over 100 overseas students from 20 countries will be among those competing at the ISSA Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Athletics Championships this year. 2023 marks the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic that Champs has a full schedule. Welcome, sir. Welcome and welcome again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's great to have Champs back. It's a national institution. It gives us a sense of things going back to normal. The last time at Champs was 2019. How does it feel, Mr. Wellington?
Well, the last time we had full Champs was 2019, but ISSA has been leading in terms of trying to keep our students involved in various activities. So we did have Champs in 2021 and 2022, but it was a very reduced version, very different from what we would have become accustomed to.
Champs Light.
Right, the Champs Light, right, Champs Light. So we're going back to Champs Pro.
Exactly, and everybody is happy. You look exceedingly like you're bursting with glee, and I feel it as well. I might come to Champs this year. I've never been to Champs.
You're crazy, you're not a Jamaican. You never went to school in Jamaica.
I'm from foreign. Yeah, I'm kidding. But full slate. What does it mean to have the full slate back in 2023? Because you're on a different landscape completely. Explain, please.
Well, first of all, what the difference, the most significant difference between what we are able to do this year and what we had to do after COVID is that we now are able to have more students participating because we are no longer, well, while we accept that COVID is not totally gone and there are still precautions that we need to take, there are a lot less restrictions on us. So in terms of the space that we occupy, we are able to have more persons in, so more students are able to participate. The schedule itself, we do not have that rigid scheduling of sanitizing and getting places clean, getting starting blocks clean after each person has used it, getting the sand sprayed.
That was Champs Light, right?
That was Champs Light.
That sounds like more work than Champs Pro, full, yeah.
And obviously we are hoping that we will have a full stadium this year. So.
Mr. Wellington, educated as I was, I brought a joke, people, I'm kidding. But I have to find myself at Champs, yes, this year. So, what are we looking at in terms of sponsors and the new additives to the Champs?
Well, first of all, I think our sponsors have been really good to us. And so, for the most part, our sponsors are sponsors who were on board prior to 2019. They remained with us for, as you have coined it now, and it's something I'll take out of this interview, Champs Light. They remained with us for Champs Light. And they are back again, fully invested in our children's future, providing as much support as they possibly can. So, and I think for them, in terms of from a business perspective, this is where they are likely to get an even bigger return on their investment because now we have everybody in the stadium, we have full coverage and all of that. So I think it's good for them.
And like I said, you got 82 million from Grace Kennedy. Right? It literally is called ISSA Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls. Yeah. That's just under 100 million. But the thing I think that's happening is the spirit of the nation. A lot of people were broken by this pandemic. And I'm certain that when the children had to the Champs Light, it must have been quite difficult. Outside of the spraying of the sand, it could have been the future. It could have been, that could have defined the new way forward. But no, we're back. We're bigger and better than ever. I gather that we're having international officials coming to the championships. Tell me about that, please.
All right, so Champs, Champs is 112 years old, 113 years old actually. We missed two versions, 2019 and one I think in the 50s or somewhere there. So we have always had Champs. It has developed a reputation of being an excellent meet. As a matter of fact, it's a World Athletics Heritage meet, meaning that it has been designated as one of the significant contributors to world athletics development. And so we have a number of persons from not just the Caribbean, but right across the world who have an interest in champs each year. One particular group this year that we are really pleased to have is a delegation from Trinidad and Tobago. The governments of both islands, I think the prime ministers of both islands in the summer, they had a discussion where they made a commitment to each other that they would try to forge a better bond between both countries and allow for us to help each other in our different sporting arenas. Just a month ago or a few weeks ago, a delegation from the Ministry of Sports came as guest of our Ministry of Sport, read the anti-doping program in Jamaica. We were invited, ISSA was invited to go to Trinidad for their school relays last month, and we went, and now we have 12 persons from Trinidad, from the Minister of Education, the Minister of Sport, along with the president of their school's athletics program. They will be coming as our guests, the guests of the Ministry of Sports and ISSA, to observe and to see what is it that we do to make champs what it is.
Why do Jamaicans run so fast? The ongoing question. We take a break. When we return, we'll have more on the topic. My guest is Keith Wellington, and the topic is champs. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching PBCJ Presents. I'm your host, Maya Chung. My guest is Keith Wellington, president of ISSA. Our topic is champs. So we're having diplomatic
representation.
Right, and collaboration. Yes. We're having over 100 overseas students from 20 countries. I don't want all 20 countries, but they're not all CARICOM countries.
No, they're not.
Tell me they're not CARICOM countries, because we know the CARICOM countries. Like,
all right, so we have students. I remember these they won't be representing their countries. They will be representing their schools because they are actually enrolled in schools in Jamaica.
Okay.
So we have students from Kenya, from Uganda, from United Kingdom, and a lot from the Caribbean, amongst other.
A whole heap. Yeah. Is this the first that we're having, like, Kenyan students?
No, it's not the first. It's not the first that we're having.
From different continents, That's a continent. Africa.
It has become a recent phenomenon in terms of the numbers. I think we have always had a few from the Caribbean. So, for example, Sidani Mothersill, who is an outstanding Olympian, she is Caymanian, and she attended St. Andrews.
Really?
Right. So we have always had one or two, but now it's almost a deliberate attempt. One from the countries themselves, because we have had the associations from these countries asking us to facilitate their students so that they can help with their development.
Is it wise for us to bring people here and show them why Jamaicans run so fast? I can't stop smiling because we're in two worlds. Do we show them? Do we train them? And then when we go to the Olympics, what's going to happen?
So it's an ongoing. No, it's a very good question, and it's an ongoing debate because there are different sides to the one coin, and not just two sides. But the position that we have taken at ISSA is that, first of all, especially as it relates to our CARICOM neighbors, we believe that we are leaders and we should, as much as possible, facilitate the development of our neighbors. And so we don't have an issue on the face of it in terms of trying to help them. Where we want to be very careful is to ensure that our own students are not deprived of the opportunities because we are helping somebody else. But I don't think we have gotten to that stage yet. So for the time being, I think it is something good for us as a country to be helping those around us. For our sponsors as well, it provides greater brand exposure for them because right away it means that you have interest from at least 20 different countries in what is happening at champs during this period. So for the sponsors and for the country as a whole as well, it is something I think we stand to benefit from.
And not only that, I'm just going to add my 2 cents, which is the crab in a barrel thing. It doesn't work because you can teach or show methodology, but that doesn't necessarily mean we're not going to produce Donald Quarries and Merlin Otis. So we should get not just in sport. We should get away from this crab in the barrel thing. But
true.
you know, the same kind of little jittery feeling that comes up now with the first full schedule. Well, what do you call it? The COVID era? That sounds kind of depressing. Let's not call it that.
No.
Yeah, let's not call it that. The first full
COVID
schedule.
interruption.
Yes, interruption. I love that one. Right. So we need to get that kind of morale out into other areas as well. What are some of the newest things, sports-wise, not just health-wise, that we are now going to be doing in 2023?
In terms of champs?
Yes, in terms of champs.
Well, I think the most significant thing, we would have started last year, and I think it's the most significant change that has come of champs since COVID 2019. It is the fact that we have redone our schedule, and the 100-meter finals. Everybody knows that the 100-meter is the biggest, for most persons, let me say that, the biggest event of a championship. Normally, we would have that on a Friday evening, the finals on a Friday evening, so you'll have a packed stadium, especially the grandstand. Persons leave work, turn up for the 100 finals to find out who's the fastest boy, who's the fastest girl. We have actually changed the schedule so that 100 meters is now on a Wednesday evening.
May I ask why?
All right, so we did that initially because of the COVID and the fact that we needed to have spread the events a little bit wider to allow for all the sanitization and all the thing, and to ensure that we didn't have too many persons in the stadium at any one time. That was the initial reason, or the reason it was forced upon us. But it was something that was being considered before, and we are continuing with it because we find that it is in the best interest of the health of our student athletes in terms of what they are allowed to do over the 5 days period, the rest that they are afforded if they are doing the sprints. And the truth is...
So something good came out of the redesign.
Something good I think has come out of it. And it is the way it is normally done at international meets as well, where the athletes get to run all their 100 meters before getting into the relays or the 200 meters.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, a lot of people in different spheres have shared that their COVID interruption and their redesign as a result, not just in sports, some of the methodologies are more efficient, have yielded good outcomes. Give us an idea of what the students' inner spirit was like during one of the COVID sessions when you had to be sanitizing sand.
Yeah.
What were the kids? Were they grumpy? Were they great? I mean, just keep it real, because COVID never in a nice, and it's still a keep.
Specifically for champs and ISSA sports, I think our students were most grateful during the period because if you recall, persons were basically not allowed to do much interactions, and we were able to work along with the government to ensure that we did not have too long an interruption. So for example, when we had champs in 2021, it was the first meet anywhere in the world where we had that first meet of its type anywhere in the world since COVID. So we have been leading on that, and I think that our students appreciated the effort that was being made, and they really, really did their part, because we had champs without one case of COVID being identified amongst a group of over 2,000 persons who had to be interacting with each other during champs.
That's an awesome manifest at that time.
At that time, yeah.
Yeah, when everybody was going crazy.
Absolutely.
And at this juncture, we take another break. I'm your host, Maya Chung. The program is PBCJ Presents. Our topic, champs, and our guest, Keith Wellington. Stay with us. We have more when we return. Welcome back. You're watching PBCJ Presents. I'm your host, Maya Chung, and my guest is Keith Wellington, president of ISSA. Our topic is champs. Before we went to the break, we looked at various issues like the change in the 100 meters from its traditional Friday staging to now Wednesday, something the entire team found more efficient and more health safe.
Yes.
Right? Specifically COVID. Or just generally?
Well, initially we were thinking about COVID, but generally in terms of the health of the athletes,
Because you mentioned rest
right, the
prior
rest
to the
period,
break.
right, and in terms of risk of injury, we think it's a better model. That doesn't mean that everybody agrees with it, because based on the tradition of champs and what has happened in the past,
Yes.
persons would really prefer
The
to have a Friday where they can go and celebrate and
they
party.
rave.
Right, but we decided that we wanted to give it a try, continue with it for a while.
And let me endorse you. If you have to make certain rearrangements to have champs full, pro, not champs light, I'll go with coming on a Wednesday to see the 100 meters. Yeah, because we're not going to get everything in this world.
That's true.
We can get most things, but not everything. Moving forward, what is it that you want to accomplish from this first full staging coming off of Light and 2019? What is the big ticket item? If we tick this, we're good.
All right, so obviously we always pray that the championship is a success in terms of getting good performances from the athletes. They remain safe and healthy, and that at the end of the day we are able to reflect and to say that, listen, we did this, and well, during COVID, the thing was, why, let us hope there's no positive cases coming. But generally, we want to ensure that everybody ends the meet being healthy. From an organizational position, we would love to see the schedule work, meaning that we actually have close to full house during the earlier days, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday remains a good day in terms of spectator turnout. Obviously, Saturday is always going to be a great day. So we would love to see the schedule being attractive enough to see us, because for us at ISSA, normally our revenue from the gate is really limited to Friday and Saturday. We would like to see that extended to, at the very least, 3 days, including Wednesday.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be a new thing for the meet, right? A new good thing.
Right.
All right. If it were that we had to revert to Champs Light, at this point, doing the comparative, right? Do you think that it would have a negative effect on the development of the young athletes? I don't have a specialty in sports, but any card can play. And I don't like the idea that persons think that COVID not keep. COVID I keep, we have to be careful.
Right,
but
right.
if it were, do you think that the development of the athletes, because we talk about the gate, the tradition, the feel-goodness of it, but the young people are really the most important. Do you think it would?
If we, hopefully, we will not have
hopefully,
to. Right?
Yeah.
And if we were to revert to that long term, I think it would have an effect, because I think champs, the nature of champs produces hardened athletes in terms of their development into professionals, where once they leave champs and go into the professional realm, there isn't much more that they would have to experience that they would not have experienced in terms of the actual process of going through champs.
It's like creating a Spartan or a gladiator.
From early, right?
Right.
So I think, and obviously again, in terms of funding for us, it would really affect us badly, because we made some sacrifices during COVID to ensure that the championships were held. It didn't mean, in terms of finances, we didn't get the type of returns that we would have normally been accustomed to.
Understandable.
But we had to make the sacrifice, and I have to say it again, our sponsors were really good, because they stuck with it and they understood that this was long term. They wanted to ensure that we didn't give up too much and then have to start too far behind when we return.
And to exhibit such faith, it's inspiring, because I think Grace Kennedy, who is your co-banner sponsor, gave just under, I keep saying it like that, just under 100 million, $82 million. What is the price tag for a champs? I don't know, would it be really, really significantly much more expensive because of the health safety things you have to put in place?
All right, so it was, well, we were able to do champs at a smaller cost during COVID, but it was champs light.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So we had additional expenses that we would not normally have had, but we had to cut some of the things that we did. So the execution, the nice fireworks, and some of those things we had to reduce it. Champs in its normal format, at the end of the period when we have done all our execution, paid all our bills, and give a return to the schools, champs cost more than $130 million.
Wow, that's
So,
not small.
No, it's not small.
Yes, I really hope that this predication on the gates increasing.
Right.
Yeah, and PBCJ Presents wants to encourage our viewership to go on out there. And I'm certain people will be flying in because,
Yes.
yeah.
That was one of the
just-
negative of COVID.
Right.
And we have quite a few persons who planned their vacation around
Around.
champs,
Ah,
and
tell
they
me
couldn't,
about
have,
it.
they couldn't have made it
Yeah.
during COVID. So we are expecting full return from them this year.
We are expecting full return, and we're not going back to champ side, but we cannot stress enough that we're admonishing and advising from every perspective. People want to wear on a mask. COVID still a keep. We have always looked at sports as one of the big things with music in terms of what Jamaica is known for. What advice would you give as a person so steeped in this particular part of life, sporting life, to other countries? Because our program broadcasts globally via social media as well as through our subscription. What advice would you give to nations seeking to do what Jamaica does in terms of keeping an athletics championship for young people like champs?
Well, first of all, I would like to say that champs is not an event by itself. It's a part of a process that is Jamaica is deeply invested in, and various sectors of Jamaica, our sponsors, our government, our teachers, our parents.
Student, yeah.
So if you look at what we
Families.
do, we have basic school champs. So it's a process. So my advice would be that if this is something that you really want to do in terms of investing in your young people, you have to start early, and you have to get as many persons as possible involved, even at a voluntary level, to ensure that you capture all the talents that are available and put them through a process where that talent can be honed and maximized.
Mr. Wellington, thank you very much for all that information. We appreciate it. And thank you for watching. I've been your host, Maya Chung. My guest has been president of the Inter-Secondary School Sports Association, ISSA, Keith Wellington. Remember to follow us on our socials. Look for PBCJ Presents on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and email us your feedback at pbcjpresents@pbcjamaica.org. Thank you for watching. Stay with us.